Hey everyone, welcome. We're on day 15, rolling along here for Release What's Weighing You Down. And Carrie, a topic of food is the enemy, food is poison. Anything, I want to read what you wrote. So, food is the enemy, it's all poison. Fear of eating because food makes you tired, hurt all over, and fat. Yet you have no choice, you have to eat. So, hey Emily. Happy you're here. I'm waving back. So I love this topic for this reason. I mean, I definitely have some of this too. Like, certainly like, the sugar is white man's cocaine is what they call it often. But what if it is the beliefs that we have about certain foods? There's this collective consciousness about certain foods that actually creates more of the problem for us. And so it's like, oh, I shouldn't have that, I won't have that, I won't have this or that. My diet, just so you know, tends to be typically vegan by choice. I was a voracious vegan about 9 years ago, just for health purposes. And now, honestly, I do it more, hey Penny, I do it more for what I call animal rights. And I don't propose anybody else has to do this in any way, shape, or form the way I do. Everybody's free to do what makes sense and feels right to them. But the key for me is the freedom to choose it. And I always tell myself, if I want something, I'm going to have it. And that's the key. That's what makes it easy and easier for me to do that. Is I just give myself the choice. I'm like, I really tend to rarely ever eat meat, and recently have included more just back into not using dairy, but I'm like, if I want it, I'm going to have it. So that's to me the freedom to choose. I did not have that freedom before. But it's like making something bad or wrong. Like I just make a conscious choice about it. It's not like I think anybody else is bad or wrong or any of that. I mean, I used to be on a bit of a rampage about, drawing up awareness. And I'm like, Marty, like, chill, baby. Let people decide for themselves. You did. I have that, I can have that tendency, and I have to like rein it in. So the key is the freedom. So what if it's possible sugar's not bad for you? Actually, this is really fascinating. I watched a show when I was in St. Louis over the summer visiting my one sister, and it's all about, like the way we should eat and all this stuff. But it was really interesting. They talked about a man, I do not remember his name, who was a health advocate back in the 50s. And he put people on a fruit and vegetable diet and a sugar infusion. And they got better. So there you go. So whatever the foods are, if we think all foods are poison, all this, all that. The other thing that these are practical things that I've found has helped me is combining certain foods properly. Like I definitely can get a food coma, which is what I call it after I eat certain heavier foods. So I just pay attention to that now out of freedom of choice of like, I've got a couple more sessions here, so I don't want to be in a food coma if I've got to pay attention to somebody. Probably not good. So I'll just make sure that I stay on the lighter side until I'm done with that, when I can allow myself to just, if I go into a food coma, it doesn't take me out. And I really do try to the best of my ability. And I think typically with the choices I've made about how I eat, I don't tend to get the food comas. So that's a practical side. But what if it's possible? It is the thoughts that we have about anything. And let's say certain foods, this is good, this is bad, this isn't, and again, to that thing of allowing yourself, if you're in restriction, it's just never good. And I know I've talked about this before. If you are restricting yourself, it's gonna have, there's no way you're not gonna have some sort of, I don't know the right word here, but I'm gonna use backlash to that. So the idea is to get to a place of freedom, freedom to choose, freedom around food, freedom to feel like, hey, I'm going to have that piece of cake today and it's okay. And it's loaded and laced with, white sugar and whatever it is. It's the freedom to make that choice. That I have found that in my own journey, that is so, so, so key. Hey, Penny. Hey, Tana. Happy to see you here live. So call to mind, it doesn't have to be in this arena for you if, emotional eating and weight is not a problem for you, but something about like, this is restriction. This is bad for me. This person, this thing, this is toxic. This is poison. This is that. So anyone that doesn't struggle, say with weight or emotional eating, hey, Melinda, call to mind that thing that feels like poison to you. That person, that thing, that situation that feels like poison. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't recommend that you walk into a noxious gas place and be like, oh, it's not poison to me. I'm freedom to choose. So not that, but in the arena, I think you get the picture. Something that we're telling ourselves a story about. It's poison, it's toxic, it's bad, it's because it throws us into restriction. So call that to mind and say to yourself, whatever it is for you, this is poison to me. And if you need to reframe it to, this is bad for me. And 0 to 10, how true does that feel? 10's totally true. Oh my God, it's so bad, it's poison. 0's like, not at all. Where do you fall on the scale? And then I may not remember to have you re-rate it at the end of this tapping, but think about doing that. So karate chop. Even though this is poison to me, poison, this absolutely will adversely affect me. No questions asked. I bet money this will impact me negatively. I choose to acknowledge my feelings now. Even though this is poison, hey Nadia, this is poison to my body, poison to me. It's bad for me. And I have to avoid it. These thoughts create a ton of stress for me. I accept myself anyway now. Let's go to the eyebrow. Wow. Maybe I've never thought about it this way. These very thoughts create so much stress for me. And what if it's the thoughts I have about this that create stress that's way more detrimental to me than this food, this person, this thing. Wow. Because every time I go to eat this, every time I go to engage in this, I have this belief. Bad. Wrong. Poison. And that affects me physically. Just from the stress. So what if the next time I want to eat something or engage with someone or something, I could tap first. I could look at this thing or imagine it in my mind and notice the stress that this causes me just thinking about it. Oh my God. That does seem true. That the stress I feel from the thoughts I have about this are actually the things that are more detrimental to me than this thing I'm about to eat or this thing or person I'm about to engage with. Something to consider. And what if the more I start to pay attention to the stressful thoughts I have about this, the more I can interrupt those, and the less stressful they become. And then maybe I can eat that freaking cookie or engage with this person and not have it be detrimental to me. Because I'm calmer, I'm more relaxed, and I bet, like Janine Roth says, when I'm calmer and more peaceful in body, mind, and spirit, I could digest a rock with ease. I could digest this person's bullshit. Just observing them. So something to consider, that maybe it's not actually this thing. It's the chronic thoughts I have that create the stress that's more detrimental to my body, mind, and spirit than the actual thing or someone. And take a breath. So that is my recommendation. Again, I am not a doctor. I mean, I have nutrition, I have a sub-nutrition degree, but that's not what this is about. This is about the thought. So if you are, under the care of a doctor, please consult them before you would make any kind of changes. Because I'm not, it's not my place to be the authority on that. And mine's the emotional component. And then you can take practical steps from that. But literally, if you think about that, I mean, oh my God, I remember this. So like when I was living in Chicago and I had, when I was first starting to practice abstinence, I'd hooked up with this sponsor and I was calling on 7-Eleven stores. That was my job. And I would deal with the franchisees and I was working with them to get them to purchase, use our delivery services. I'm telling you, I had this obsession. Every time I walked in, there's this case of Otis Spunkmeyer cookies. And I would walk in there and I would just like, it was like, wah, like a magnet. And it was like, should I or shouldn't I? This battle that was going on with me about them, this thing, and I guarantee you, the mental gymnastics that I had going on around that was far more detrimental to me than if I'd just eaten a freaking cookie or cookies, plural, which was usually the case. And that's just something I invite you to consider, that idea, and be it in the food arena, if it's a person, It's the thoughts that we have about that person. Oh God, I've got to engage. And I'm not telling you to engage with people that genuinely feel toxic to you. But what I do believe about this, toxic people, toxic situations, toxic food, whatever you want to call it, when we start to shift our energy around it, those things, people, places, they have to change. They have to change. I've had so much experience with this where, with a person, it's like they behave completely differently around you where you're like, oh, is this the same person? And I'm not saying on this all-time consistent basis, but it continues to improve. And where you'll notice that you can start to eat different things that were so forever off limits to you that wouldn't. I'm not kidding when I say back when I was really struggling with my eating disorder, I could never have brought like cookies were a thing for me because my dad was the cookie monster, so I kind of picked that up from him. I could have never had a box or a bag of cookies in my house because it was like they'd be gone. And I when I think back to that time, it was like that's what I told myself. I can't have them here. I can't have them here. I can't have them here. And now I'm like, I have all kinds of stuff in my house that I can go days and not even consider. And that's the power of shifting our energy around this. So anyway, hope you found this really helpful. And I'm going to put this plug in again. If anybody wants to have a conversation with me about this release program that I'm starting in October, it's women only. Sorry, guys. But it's just for women and our issues around this. It's a 12-month thing. Just let me know. We can have a conversation. I'm not high pressure. I can show you there's 3 different levels that I think some of you might be surprised at the affordability of it. But I'm happy to have a conversation and see if it feels like a fit. And of course, no pressure, no obligation. And then the other thing I do have starting September 10th is that 60-day break-free program that I did. This is the second one. And I'll post both those links in this Facebook group. And that's yet to me, it's another very affordable product for like 45 hours of group work together. And oh, Penny, you did that group. So if you're interested in any of that, just, I'll post the links and just let me know and we can have a conversation or not. And like worst case, you get all these free videos. So Nadia, so happy to see you here. Melinda, Penny, Tana, I know you were here. Emily was here, popped in earlier. I'm just trying to see if there's anybody that I've missed. If I've missed you, I just don't see your name. Always kind of fun to have people be here live. You see the little hearts or the thumbs up and all that. So hope you found this to be yet another helpful video. And have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you next time. See you tomorrow. Bye.